The massive alien warship appeared without warning on a quiet Tuesday morning. It emerged from the darkness of space like a steel giant, its hull gleaming under Earth's sun. The ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built, stretching nearly 5 kilometers from end to end. Inside the United Nations Emergency Chamber in New York, world leaders watched the main screen with tight faces and worried eyes. Military officers rushed around with papers and tablets, while scientists tried to make sense of the readings they were getting from the alien vessel. "It's just sitting there," General Roberts said, pointing at the screen. "No hostile moves yet, but they're positioned perfectly to strike any major city on Earth." He wiped sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief, his decorated uniform doing little to hide his nervousness. The room fell silent as the giant screen flickered. A tall figure appeared, its skin a pale blue and its eyes glowing like amber stones. 4 arms crossed over its armored chest as it looked down at the human assembly. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice deep and clear. "I am Admiral Vale of the Galactic Confederation. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our power." The UN Secretary-General stepped forward, her voice steady despite the situation. "Admiral Vale, Earth is a sovereign planet. We have no interest in being integrated into any empire, peaceful or otherwise." A sound like grinding metal came from Admiral Vale, perhaps a laugh. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation." One of his 4 arms reached out, pressing something off screen. "Observe." The view changed to show a small, uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean. A beam of light shot down from the alien ship, and in seconds, the island vanished. Nothing remained except steam rising from the ocean where it had been. Gasps filled the UN chamber. General Roberts gripped his chair so hard his knuckles turned white. "That was 1/10 of our weapon's power," Admiral Vale said. "We have studied your world for some time. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses are inadequate. Your weapons would not scratch our shields." The alien commander paused, all 4 arms spreading wide. "But the Confederation is not cruel. We offer you a chance to prove your worth. Our warriors have examined your military capabilities and found them." He seemed to search for the right word. "Lacking. However, our laws require that we give you one opportunity to defend your independence." On screens around the world, people watched as Admiral Vale's image was replaced by something that made children cry and adults step back in horror. It was a creature unlike anything on Earth, 3 meters tall, covered in armor-like scales, with claws that could tear through steel and teeth as long as human forearms. "This is one of our war beasts," Admiral Vale's voice continued over the image. "The product of 10,000 years of selective breeding and genetic enhancement. Against such creatures, your armies learn to bow before us." The screen split, showing both Admiral Vale and the beast. "You have 6 hours to consider our terms. After that, we will begin the integration process. If you wish to prove yourselves, you may select your finest warrior to face our beast in combat. Victory would earn you independence. Defeat." He let the word hang in the air. The transmission cut off, leaving the UN chamber in chaos. Military leaders argued about sending their best special forces soldiers. Scientists debated using experimental weapons or robots. Politicians tried to negotiate among themselves about the best course of action. In the back of the room, a young diplomatic aide named Tom watched the arguments with a thoughtful expression. He pulled out his phone and looked at a photo of himself with a German shepherd dog, both of them covered in mud after a long day of training. "Sir," he said quietly to his superior, "I think I might have an idea." Nobody in that room, not even Tom, could have guessed that Earth's best hope for independence wasn't going to come from its armies, its weapons, or its technology. It would come from humanity's oldest and most faithful ally, one that had been beside us since we first gathered around fires in the ancient past. The next 5 hours at the United Nations were filled with heated debates. Military leaders from different countries argued about their best warriors, while scientists pushed for using their latest combat robots. Nobody paid attention to Tom as he tried to get someone to listen to his idea. "What about our new laser-guided missiles?" suggested a general from Russia, his fist pounding the table. "Their shields would stop them," replied General Roberts, shaking his head. "You saw what they did to that island." Tom finally managed to reach his boss, Mr. Wilson, who was one of the senior diplomats. "Sir, I really think we should consider a different approach," he said, holding up his phone to show a picture. Mr. Wilson glanced at the photo and frowned. "A dog. Tom, this is serious. We're facing alien invasion here, not setting up a pet show." But Tom didn't back down. "Sir, you don't understand. Max isn't just any dog. He's a former military working dog, and I've been his handler for 5 years. He's smart, fast, and can outthink most humans I know. Are you seriously suggesting we send a dog to fight that monster?" Mr. Wilson asked, but something in his voice had changed. He was starting to listen. "Why not?" Tom replied. "The aliens expect us to think like them, to send our biggest, strongest warrior. But that's not how humans won on Earth. We won by being clever, by working with other species." As crazy as it sounded, the idea started to make sense to Mr. Wilson. He took Tom to speak with General Roberts, who at first laughed but then grew serious as Tom explained his reasoning. "The alien beast relies on size and strength," Tom said. "But Max has something different. He has thousands of years of evolution working with humans. He can read signals, adapt to situations, and most importantly, he knows how to fight as part of a team." General Roberts studied the videos Tom showed him of Max's training exercises. The dog could navigate complex obstacles, take down armed attackers, and follow commands that were almost invisible to observers. Most importantly, Max showed incredible problem-solving skills. "This is either the craziest or the most brilliant idea I've ever heard," General Roberts finally said. He checked his watch. "And we're running out of time to think of anything better." With just 30 minutes left before the aliens' deadline, the UN Security Council made their decision. They would accept the challenge, but on one condition. They wanted to see the combat area first. Admiral Vale appeared on the screen again, looking amused. "You wish to inspect the arena? Very well. It will make no difference to the outcome." The alien commander showed them a massive chamber inside their ship. It was a circular area about 100 meters across, with high walls and a transparent dome above. The floor was made of some kind of metal, with various levels and obstacles scattered around. "This is where your champion will meet their end," Admiral Vale said proudly. "Now show us your mighty warrior." The UN Secretary-General stepped forward. "We accept your challenge, Admiral. Our champion will arrive in a transport craft within the hour." The alien's 4 arms moved in what might have been surprise. "Just 1 hour. You seem eager to meet your fate." "We know exactly who we're sending," she replied, trying to hide a small smile. As the transmission ended, preparations began quickly. Tom got Max ready, checking his special protective vest and making sure he was calm and focused. The dog wagged his tail, treating this like any other training day. "I know you don't understand what's happening, buddy," Tom whispered, scratching behind Max's ears. "But the whole world's counting on us now." As they boarded the transport ship that would take them to the alien vessel, Tom couldn't help but wonder what Admiral Vale would think when he saw Earth's champion. The aliens had asked for their mightiest warrior, expecting some massive human fighter or advanced war machine. Instead, they were about to meet something the Galactic Confederation had never encountered before, the result of over 15,000 years of partnership between humans and canines, a partnership that had begun around ancient campfires and would now be tested in the stars. The alien ship's docking bay was enormous, making the human transport look tiny in comparison. Tom walked down the ramp with Max beside him, both staying calm despite the strange surroundings. A group of 4 armed alien guards watched them, their expressions unreadable. "Follow," one guard said in basic English, Tom and Max walked through gleaming metal corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Other aliens stopped to stare at them, probably wondering where Earth's champion was. None of them seemed to pay much attention to Max, who stayed perfectly at heel beside Tom. They entered the massive arena Tom had seen on the video. It was even more impressive in person, with its high dome letting in starlight from above. Hundreds of aliens sat in elevated seats around the arena, all watching with their glowing amber eyes. Admiral Vale stood on a raised platform, all four arms spread wide. "Welcome, humans. The time has come to." He stopped mid-sentence, looking confused. "Where is your warrior?" Tom stepped forward, trying to keep his voice steady. "Right here, Admiral. This is Max, Earth's champion." For a moment, there was complete silence. Then the arena erupted with a sound that Tom realized was alien laughter. Even the guards were making that strange grinding metal sound. Admiral Vale's confusion turned to anger. "Is this some kind of joke? You bring a small animal to face our war beast." "No joke, Admiral," Tom replied. "You asked for our champion. Here he is." The alien commander's eyes flashed dangerously. "You mock our sacred combat traditions. Perhaps we should skip the challenge and begin the invasion now." "With respect, Admiral," Tom said, "your challenge asked for Earth's finest warrior. You never specified what species that warrior had to be. Max meets all your stated requirements." Admiral Vale's four hands clenched into fists, but Tom could see he was trapped by his own rules. The alien commander had broadcast the challenge terms to Earth without any restrictions about the type of champion. "Very well," Admiral Vale finally growled. "Let us end this quickly." He pressed a button on his platform. A massive door opened on the far side of the arena. The alien war beast emerged, and Tom had to force himself not to step back. The creature was even more terrifying in person than it had been on screen. It stood on two thick legs, its scaled body covered in natural armor. Massive claws scraped against the metal floor, leaving deep scratches. Its head was mostly mouth, filled with rows of sharp teeth. The beast's eyes glowed red as it spotted Max and Tom. Max didn't bark or growl. He stood calmly, watching the monster with the focused attention Tom had seen hundreds of times in training. This was just another exercise to him, another problem to solve. "Release your beast," Admiral Vale commanded, "and let us witness its swift end." Tom knelt beside Max, whispering final instructions. The dog's ears twitched, taking in every word. To the watching aliens, it probably looked like a farewell. They had no way of knowing that Tom was setting up a complex series of commands and signals that he and Max had practiced for years. "Ready, buddy?" Tom asked, getting a quick lick on his hand in response. He stood up and walked to the edge of the arena, leaving Max in the center. The alien beast roared, a sound that shook the metal floors. Max didn't flinch. He stood his ground, tail straight, every muscle ready. Admiral Vale raised all four arms. "Let the combat begin." The alien beast charged forward like a tank, its claws throwing up sparks from the metal floor. The aliens cheered, expecting to see Earth's champion crushed in seconds. Instead, they witnessed something none of them had expected. Just as the beast was about to reach him, Max moved. It wasn't a retreat or a panic reaction. It was a smooth, practiced motion that left the alien beast grabbing at empty air. Tom smiled slightly. The aliens were about to learn why dogs were called man's best friend, and why you should never underestimate a German shepherd who has been trained to protect Earth. The alien beast charged again and again, each time meeting nothing but air as Max moved with fluid grace. The dog wasn't just avoiding the attacks. He was studying his opponent, learning its patterns. Years of training with Tom had taught him to think before acting. The alien crowd had gone quiet. They watched in confusion as their mighty war beast failed to land a single blow on what they had thought was just a simple animal. Admiral Vale leaned forward on his platform, his glowing eyes narrowed. Tom stood at the arena's edge, barely moving. But Max could read the tiny signals: a slight shift in posture, a small hand movement, even the way Tom tilted his head. Each signal was a command, a strategy developed through thousands of hours of training. The alien beast roared in frustration, its claws leaving deep gouges in the metal floor. It was used to overwhelming opponents with pure strength, but now it faced something different. Max wasn't fighting like a typical predator. He was fighting with human tactics. "What is this?" Admiral Vale demanded. "Your beast does nothing but run." Tom didn't take his eyes off the fight. "He's not running, Admiral. He's thinking." As if to prove Tom's point, Max suddenly changed his pattern. Instead of dodging sideways, he darted between the alien beast's legs. The larger creature tried to turn, but its own size worked against it. Max was already behind it, nipping at its legs with precise attacks. The alien beast spun around, but Max was gone again. Each bite was carefully placed at weak points, the joints where the armor-like scales didn't quite meet. Tom had taught Max this technique for taking down larger opponents: target the weak spots, stay mobile, and most importantly, stay calm. "Impossible," one of the alien guards muttered. "It's fighting with strategy." The alien beast was getting tired. Its movements were becoming slower, more desperate. Sweat or something like it dripped from its scales. But Max looked like he could keep going for hours. German shepherds were bred for endurance, and Max was in perfect condition. Several minutes into the fight, something changed in the alien beast's eyes. For the first time, there was fear. It had never faced an opponent it couldn't hit, couldn't overwhelm. It didn't know how to handle an enemy that thought instead of just reacted. Tom gave another subtle signal. Max responded instantly, changing tactics again. Now he started hurting the alien beast, using the same skills his ancestors had developed watching over sheep. He controlled where the larger creature could move, slowly but surely pushing it toward the arena wall. "This is not combat," Admiral Vale shouted. This is how humans hunt," Tom replied calmly. "We didn't become Earth's dominant species by being the biggest or strongest. We succeeded because we learned to work with other animals, to combine our intelligence with their natural abilities." The alien beast made one last desperate charge. Max waited until the last second, then dodged. The beast, unable to stop its momentum, crashed hard into the arena wall. It staggered, dazed from the impact. Max seized the moment. With precise movements, he got behind the alien beast and clamped his jaws on a critical point at the base of its neck. Not biting down hard enough to kill, but enough to show he could. The alien beast froze, instinctively knowing it was defeated. The arena was completely silent. Every alien watched as Max held the larger creature in place, waiting for Tom's next command. It was a clear victory, but not through brutality or superior strength. It was a victory of intelligence, training, and the unique bond between humans and dogs. Tom stepped forward. "Max, release." The dog immediately let go and returned to Tom's side, tail wagging slightly as if he'd just completed a normal training exercise. Admiral Vale stood on his platform, all four arms hanging loose in shock. He had just witnessed something that challenged everything the Galactic Confederation believed about combat and intelligence. The simple animal they had laughed at had just outsmarted their finest war beast. And this was just one example of what humans and their animal companions could do together. Admiral Vale descended from his platform, his movements slow and deliberate. The alien spectators remained silent as their commander approached Tom and Max. The defeated war beast had been led away, its pride visibly wounded. "Your companion," Admiral Vale said, studying Max with new interest. "How did you create such a creature?" Tom smiled, scratching behind Max's ears. "We didn't create him, Admiral. We partnered with his ancestors thousands of years ago. Dogs chose to work with humans, and we chose to work with them." "Chose?" The alien commander's amber eyes widened. "You mean this was a natural alliance?" The first and most important one humans ever made, Tom explained. When we were still living in caves, wolves, Max's ancestors, started following our hunting groups. They figured out that working with humans meant better food and safety. A group of alien scientists had approached, their devices scanning Max. The dog sat calmly, used to attention from his years of service. One scientist made excited clicking sounds as readings appeared on their screens. "Commander," the scientist said, "these scans are remarkable. This creature's brain shows patterns similar to higher intelligence, but in ways we've never seen. And the neural responses when it looks at the human. He's reading my body language," Tom explained. "Dogs evolved to understand human gestures better than any other animal. Every slight movement I make means something to Max." Admiral Vale walked in a circle around them, all four arms clasped behind his back. "In all our exploration of the galaxy, we have never encountered a species that formed such a partnership. We always assumed superior beings must dominate lesser ones." Tom shook his head. "That's where you made your mistake. Humanity's greatest strength isn't domination. It's cooperation. Max isn't my slave or my creation. He's my partner, my friend." As if understanding the importance of the moment, Max looked up at Tom with complete trust in his eyes. The bond between them was visible to everyone in the arena. "Look at his ancestors," Tom continued, pulling up images on a small tablet. "Wolves are fierce predators. But instead of trying to defeat them, ancient humans offered friendship. Over generations, both species changed. Dogs became more social, more understanding of humans, and humans learned loyalty and teamwork from dogs." The alien scientists were frantically taking notes. One of them spoke up. "Our war beasts are products of forced evolution and genetic manipulation. But your companion, his abilities come from willing cooperation over thousands of years." "Exactly," Tom said. "Max could have run away from that fight. No command would have held him there if he didn't want to stay. But he fought because we're a team. Because that's what partners do." Admiral Vale was quiet for a long moment, watching as Max responded to tiny hand signals from Tom, performing complex movements with obvious joy. "We have much to learn from Earth," the alien commander finally said. His next words seemed to cost him great effort. Perhaps the Confederation's approach has been wrong." The alien crowd started murmuring, many of them moving closer to get a better look at Max. A few brave ones asked Tom if they could touch the dog. With Tom's permission and Max's patient acceptance, they felt soft fur for the first time, marveling at how different it was from their war beast scales. "In all our technological advancement," Admiral Vale said, watching his people interact with Max, "we never considered that true strength might come from partnership rather than power." Tom nodded. "That's just one example, Admiral. On Earth, humans work with many different animals: horses for transportation, birds for messaging, dolphins for ocean rescue. Each partnership is unique. Each one makes both species better." As the aliens continued to gather around, asking questions and studying Max with growing fascination, Tom realized that humanity had won more than just a fight. They had shown the Galactic Confederation a completely new way of thinking about intelligence, power, and the relationship between species. And it had taken man's best friend to teach one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy this simple but crucial lesson. News of the battle spread quickly through the alien ship. Crews gathered at viewing screens to watch recordings of how a simple Earth creature had outsmarted their finest war beast. But the most interesting footage wasn't of the fight. It was what happened afterward. In the ship's main observation deck, Admiral Vale stood with Tom and Max, watching Earth rotate slowly below them. The alien commander had called an emergency meeting with the Confederation Council to discuss what they had learned. "Show them," Admiral Vale said to Tom, gesturing at the large communication screen where dozens of alien leaders waited. Tom nodded and turned to Max. Without speaking a word, he gave a series of hand signals. Max immediately began demonstrating various tasks: finding hidden objects, solving puzzle boxes, and showing how he could understand complex sequences of commands. "Impossible," one of the council members exclaimed. "The level of intelligence required." "That's where you're wrong," Tom interrupted politely. "It's not just intelligence. It's trust and cooperation. Max doesn't do these things because he's forced to. He does them because we work together." The council watched in amazement as Tom brought out more videos, showing dogs helping in search and rescue, guiding blind people, working with police, and even helping children learn to read. "In all our studies of Earth," another council member said, "how did we miss this?" "Because you were looking for weapons," Tom explained. "You were searching for signs of military power, but humanity's real strength isn't in our weapons. It's in our ability to form bonds with other species." Admiral Vale stepped forward. "Honored Council, I have seen this with my own eyes. The human practice of domestication isn't about creating servants or weapons. It's about forming partnerships that make both species stronger." The alien scientists who had been studying Max shared their findings. They showed brain scans revealing how dogs had developed specific neural pathways just for understanding human emotions and gestures. They explained how this partnership had helped both species survive and thrive. "And this started naturally?" one council member asked in disbelief. "Yes," Tom said. "Thousands of years ago, some wolves figured out that working with humans meant a better life than competing with us. And some humans realized that working with wolves made them better hunters. Both species chose to change, to adapt to each other." The council chambers erupted in discussion. This was completely different from how the Confederation had developed their war beasts through forced breeding and genetic manipulation. "There's something else you should know," Tom added, pulling up more images. "Dogs aren't the only example. Look at horses, who carried us across continents. Cats, who protected our food from rodents. Birds, who became our messengers. Each partnership was unique, each one voluntary." As the council watched, Max laid his head on Tom's lap, completely relaxed despite being on an alien ship. The simple gesture said more than any words could about the bond between humans and dogs. Admiral Vale raised all four arms for attention. "Honored Council, I move that we immediately revise our assessment of Earth. Their approach to interspecies cooperation represents a completely new path of evolution we never considered possible." The Council voted unanimously to accept Earth as an independent ally rather than a subject for conquest. They were far more interested in learning about humanity's method of forming partnerships with other species than in trying to dominate Earth. As the meeting ended, Admiral Vale turned to Tom. "Your small warrior has taught us a great lesson. We thought we were advanced because we could create powerful beasts. But you showed us that true advancement lies in working together, not in domination." Tom smiled, watching Max explore the observation deck with curious sniffs. "That's the thing about dogs, Admiral. They've been teaching humans important lessons for thousands of years. Today, they just taught those lessons to the whole galaxy." Outside the window, Earth continued its peaceful spin in space, unaware that its future had just been secured not by weapons or technology, but by the ancient bond between a human and his dog. 1 month after the historic encounter, the United Nations hosted a unique gathering. The main hall had been transformed to accommodate both human and alien delegates. But the most interesting guests weren't the diplomats. They were their companions. Tom stood at the entrance, watching with amusement as Admiral Vale tried to gently pet the golden retriever puppy. The alien commander's once stern face showed pure joy as the puppy licked one of his 4 hands. "They're so soft," Admiral Vale said, still amazed by the texture of fur. "Nothing like our war beasts." The massive alien war beasts, once symbols of the Confederation's power, had been retired from combat duty. Many were now being retrained using Earth's methods of positive reinforcement. Around the hall, other scenes of interspecies cooperation played out. Alien scientists studied border collies herding sheep through a demonstration course. Confederation leaders watched in amazement as therapy dogs helped calm nervous alien children who were visiting Earth for the first time. "Your world is full of surprises," Admiral Vale said to Tom. "Yesterday, I visited something called a dog park. I watched for hours as humans and dogs played together. No commands, no force, just joy." Max sat beside Tom, wearing a new collar that marked him as an Interstellar Peace Ambassador. The title had been created specially for him after his victory changed the relationship between Earth and the Confederation. "We're still learning from each other," Tom replied. "Dogs teach us something new every day. Loyalty, patience, how to live in the moment. They're probably our best teachers." In one corner of the hall, alien researchers were particularly fascinated by a demonstration of search and rescue dogs. The dog's ability to find people in complex environments far exceeded anything the Confederation had developed with their advanced technology. "We thought we were bringing civilization to Earth," Admiral Vale admitted, watching a dog and handler team demonstrate advanced training techniques. "Instead, Earth is teaching us what civilization really means." The Confederation had already begun implementing changes based on what they'd learned. Their military kennels were being converted into rehabilitation centers, where their war beasts would learn to form genuine bonds with handlers. It would take time, but the aliens were committed to following Earth's example. "Look at this," Tom said, showing Admiral Vale a tablet. On the screen, news reports showed similar scenes playing out across the galaxy. Other alien species, inspired by Earth's example, were beginning to explore cooperative relationships with creatures on their own worlds. "A peaceful revolution," Admiral Vale mused, "started by a dog." Max wagged his tail at the mention of dog, making both Tom and the alien commander laugh. The sound of alien laughter no longer seemed strange. It had become common in the weeks since the historic battle. As the day drew to a close, Tom and Max led a group of alien visitors to a special ceremony. The United Nations was unveiling a new monument, a statue showing a human and dog standing together, looking up at the stars. The plaque read, "To the partnerships that made us human, and the friends who helped us reach the stars." Admiral Vale read the plaque thoughtfully. "You know, we spent centuries looking for advanced civilizations among the stars. We never thought to look for kindness." Tom nodded, reaching down to scratch Max's ears. "That's the thing about dogs. They don't care about technology or power. They care about friendship, loyalty, and trust. Maybe those are the real markers of an advanced civilization." As the Earth's sun set, casting golden light through the UN hall's windows, humans and aliens gathered together, many with dogs by their sides. The sight would have seemed impossible just a month ago. Representatives from across the galaxy, learning that the path to the future wasn't through domination, but through partnership. And in the middle of it all sat Max, just a dog who had done what dogs had been doing for thousands of years, showing humans, and now aliens, the better way to live. The galaxy would never be the same, and all because of a simple truth that dogs had known all along. It's better to have a friend than a servant, better to work together than to fight alone.